Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Healthy Hangout. If this is your first time here, welcome, 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 and come back. And if you are someone who's been here before, it's so good to see familiar faces. Every week, people become more and more familiar with each other, and I think that's really wonderful. That's how we build our community. And tonight, I'm really excited. I'll be presenting, and I have one of my clients who is going to give the testimonial. And I adore Suzanne. It's so great when I call her because she's from Texas. She's from San Antonio. And I call and she says, hello. And it's like just this welcoming thing, though she does call me ma'am a lot, as well as so do others in that Texas area. But I know it's polite and I've learned to accept it. So Suzanne, unmute yourself and tell us a little bit about what you've been doing.
Sure. Well, I'll start my story back in 2019, which was my first experience with Optavia. My sister's a physician and her nurse practitioner had just become certified to be a coach. And my sister said, Jennifer's doing this, maybe you might want to try it. And so I thought, well, what the heck? I've got 2 months and then I'm going on a cruise, so might as well. So I did. And between the time I went on the cruise and then a couple of months after, I lost about 40 pounds. I was like, oh, this was, pretty good. But then I kind of fell back into old habits and I had foot surgery. And then I had just kind of was back on my feet from the foot surgery when COVID hit. So I was home by myself. And, it's really easy to order your groceries and say, ooh, that looks good. I'll get that. And then we were a couple months into COVID and I had this big bin of leftover Optavia stuff. And I kept looking at it and looking at it, thinking, maybe I should, try it, because I feel like crap. And it's the craziest thing. You can call it divine intervention. You can call it a sign from the cosmos, karma, whatever. But I was leaving my last appointment with the podiatrist after my foot surgery. And he's like, you're clear to go walk, do whatever. And who calls me but Mitzi? So she was just doing a wellness check on some of her old clients and people she'd helped before. And I was like, if there ever was a sign, that was it. So I went back on the program for the right reasons this time, for my long-term health, to feel better. Within 2 weeks, my joints didn't hurt anymore. I was sleeping better because my joints didn't hurt anymore and I didn't have to keep turning and tossing and turning in bed. By the time I had a checkup with my doctor, and this was June, I think, Mitzi. And by the time I had a checkup with my doctor, she was able to cut all of my medications in half. I was taking cholesterol meds, hypertension meds, diabetes meds, you name it, I took it. And then my last checkup in November, I don't have to take any medication. I'm only taking the lowest dose of losartan, a statin, for the kidney protection, because they still want to do a follow-up on my high blood sugar. They're considering me insulin resistant right now, or pre-diabetic, until later on, to see how much more weight I lose and how my sugars look in another 3 months. And I feel great. I've lost 80 pounds. I've had blips along the way, but nothing that I haven't recovered from. My birthday was last month. I went out we went to my favorite restaurant. I ordered the cheese enchiladas that I love. I hadn't had them in a year. They tasted great, but at the same time I was eating them, I was looking at my sister who had ordered ceviche and thinking, that looks really good too, because that's normally what I order when we go to that restaurant. So I kind of discovered that, maybe the cheese enchiladas aren't all they're cracked up to be, but it was my birthday. I ate the piece of cake they brought me. And when birthday weekend was over, and I had a margarita, but birthday weekend was over and I got right back on it. Within a few days, whatever damage I did was undone. And I feel great and I'm in it for the long haul. And I really feel like this time is different than all the other diets that I've done with Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, grapefruit diet, you name it, I've done it. I even had gastric bypass surgery and lost over 150 pounds and kept 100 of it off. So I've kind of been yo-yoing back and forth with that 50, but I weighed less than I did after gastric bypass. And so it's just been a fantastic program for me.
Well, you've just really done so well. And it shows that there's not always a straight line in this. There isn't always a straight line. And there are going to be curves and bumps and cruises. So I have to say, when a client tells me they're going on a cruise, I just groan. So anyway, but just because there's all you can eat.
But at least now, if you go on a cruise, they're serving you at the buffet. You're not serving yourself.
There you go. There you go. So Suzanne, thank you so much. It's always just so much fun to call you and to hear you're just such a positive force, such a positive attitude towards this. And you are doing it for such great reasons. And you are seeing such wonderful success. I am so happy for you. And I think your family has kind of joined you on this journey. So that's why San Antonio is becoming the weight loss capital of the United States. So not Pelham, New Hampshire, as Chuck would have it be. So thank you.
You're welcome.
So I am going to be talking tonight about living a longer and healthier life. Because if you're going to live a long life, it would be really great to live it healthy. Don't you think? Yeah. So I'm going to share my screen and kind of go through a little bit of a presentation here. And here we go. I'm going to make sure I can see more than just a couple of people. So this is from, this is element 25. And so it's part of, it's in element 25. So I want to talk about taking care of you, a little bit about brain exercise and stress reduction and brain food. So this is a diagram that's in the element, and it's really very interesting because it looks at different areas of the world. And it's, as you can see, it's looking at lessons for living a longer life and where people live a longer life. And you look at the blue circle, the dark circle in the middle where everything just, meets. And being connected to family, not smoking, plant-heavy diet, constant moderate physical activity, social engagement, and legumes really help for long-term longevity. But right now, what can you start to do to live a longer and healthier life? You can start by eliminating your tobacco, eliminating recreational drugs, wearing your seatbelt, driving the speed limit. I know that would be tricky for a lot of us, I think. Limit the intake of alcoholic beverages and avoid sunburn at all costs. How many people know anybody, or some people maybe even on here, know somebody who has gotten skin cancer because of just not paying attention to how much sun they're getting? So those are things that you can start to do right now to live a longer and a healthier life. You can also create a healthier environment. And I'm not going to necessarily read through all of these, but you can start to take a look at some of these things. But, eliminating, and I think what we're trying to do now, on our program is to eliminate toxic foods, eliminate some of the poisons that are around, with cleaning supplies, ensure that our water is cleaned, check our smoke and carbon dioxide detectors to make sure that they're all working. Eliminate potential hazards that can cause us to fall. I have to say, I trip over my dog's toys all the time. I am so surprised I haven't sprained my ankle yet. And lock all your doors when you're home. But creating a healthy environment will also contribute to that longevity for your in your life. Getting your checkup. Now we have so many medical people on this on this call, but getting a yearly checkup. And with COVID, some of us, it's been harder to get that yearly checkup or to get that real checkup when we've had like telemedicine calls. But it's really important to look at what your medications are, to get the proper and the appropriate cancer screenings, making sure that all your immunizations are up to date, checking your thyroid. And also, as we not just because we're getting older, but it's still good to have our eyes, ears, and our balance checked. I have many clients who are dental hygienists, so I'm sure they would love this slide, but oral health is really important because if you don't take care of what's going on inside your mouth, it can lead to, as you can see in this diagram, it can lead to diabetes or mouth cancer or heart disease. There are so many things we don't think about when we're taking, or if we're not taking care of our teeth, our gums, our whole dental, our mouths. And that's really important to do the things that help, whether it's brushing our teeth, it's flossing, it's making sure that we're taking care of our gums. But sometimes we don't think about that as part of our health regimen, but it's so really, really important. And then the brain, I just want to share some information about the brain because that's a huge source of keeping us really healthy. The brain is the master controller of age. It plays the central role in longevity and health, and our lifestyles of, if we're eating diets in high animal fat, high glycemic, or lacking of energy, or having excessive stress in our lives, it will take a toll on our brains and on our hearts. And so there are specific habits of health that will protect our brains and increase our health. So I want to just share some of that with you. So just like doing physical exercise, mental exercise repairs damaged neural pathways and creates new ones, and it helps build memory and keeping our brain healthy. And so doing crossword puzzles, reading, movement, or dance, and you'll see dance some more later on, a little bit later. I'm not going to necessarily get us up there dancing, but just being more than just that physical exercise, it's the mental exercise that is really important. We were all, when we first started COVID, we were really all, many people, including us, doing jigsaw puzzles even. That's a great way to kind of just keep your brain going. So here's a brain teaser for everybody. Here's a brain exercise, and I can't see the chat from here, but here's the question. So think about it. If you know the answer, you can unmute yourself. But just the 3 glasses on the left are full, right? And the 3 on the right are empty. If you can only move 1 glass, you can make the row alternately full and empty glasses. So brain exercises. I love doing brain exercises. Does anyone know how to do this? Does anyone have an idea? You can unmute yourself because I can't see the chat if you do. How can you make every other glass empty and every other glass full by just moving 1 glass?
This is Kate.
Kate.
You take glass number 2 and pour it into glass number 5. So you only touch glass number 2, but you pour that water into glass number 5, put glass number 2 back where it belongs, and then you get it alternating.
Kate, I am so awesome. Yay, Kate. Kate gets a star or gets applause or gets a high five, a virtual high five. Awesome. Isn't that fun? How many of you do these brain exercises? I love doing these like little twisty things and kind of trying to figure these things out. That's really something that does create health for your brain. Doing something now, Dr. A in our NEAT, he has the S's for standing, strolling, samba, but he also has something called switch. And when you do something opposite or different from the way you usually do it, you are using your brain in a different way and you're learning something new. So you create another new neural pathway and keeping your brain healthy and creating newer neural pathways by using opposite hand or performing daily activities that you ordinarily wouldn't do the way you would ordinarily do it. So you're challenging your brain and it's really great. So if you're left-handed like I am, it may be to do some writing, try to write something with my right hand, or doing something that you ordinarily wouldn't do a different way to let your brain get some additional exercise. So what can you do for some cognitive training for your brain? Well, you can practice focusing. You can mentally repeat information you just learned, like somebody's name. I'm not really great with remembering somebody's name, so you saying it over and over again or using their name in a sentence several times when you're addressing them can help. Think about what you're trying to learn. Mentally summarize what you've learned. Organize information into categories. Many of us do that with our fuelings and getting those organized. And creating acronyms for associations with things so that you know a way to remember certain things. You know, what is it? Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Is that it? Thank you, Peggy. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. That's one of those acronyms. It's not quite an acronym, but it's a way to remember which way to turn to make something tight or loose. Physical exercise. We all know how important physical exercise is, and it's really great for our emotional health, to help us reduce our stress, for just our body to just feel really, really good by doing exercise. So incorporating exercise as well is really something that's so important to keep us on the path to longevity in a healthy way. Also reducing our stress. So we tend to internalize our stress, this can lead to damaging our brains as well as our heart and and create inflammation. And so when we have chronic stress, that is really, of course, unhealthy. So these activities that I'm showing you here are activities that can mimic aggression, such as kicking, lifts, and thrusts. Especially these types of exercises can be really therapeutic in reducing stress. So taking that bowling ball and really putting it down the aisle, or kicking, I mean, of course, lines placed from in my heart, you know, just kind of kicking things, or look at this guy weed whacking, or darts. I've had dart games where maybe I'm thinking of something and I just wham that dart, and it just helps to reduce stress by just doing something that mimics an aggression can help reduce your stress. And of course, relaxation, which is kind of goes in the opposite of that aggressive stress reduction, but helping to reduce that stress. So there are some great stress reducing exercises where you can quiet your body and quiet your mind. And when you just really just kind of closing your eyes and just taking some deep breaths, and we've had these exercises for those of you who have been on before with Jen, she has an amazing way of really just helping us all relax by just really centering ourselves, centering our breath, just looking at ways to quiet our minds. And one way to quiet your mind is to slowly repeat a word or a phrase that is calming, like quiet, peace, love. If you just kind of repeat those words as you're relaxing your head, your mind, and it can really make a difference in helping you just to relax. So if everyone right now just takes I'm not Jen, so I cannot do what she does. But if everyone just right now just takes a nice deep breath in and hold it and close your eyes a bit, and then just let it go. And just breathe back in again slowly, and use some words that are quieting words. And even if you do this for just 5 minutes, it can make such a difference in just settling you when you're feeling a little bit rushed, a little bit stressed. You need to feel a little bit of relaxed, a little bit more relaxed, to make such a difference in just finding some great mental exercises of meditation or just breathing to bring you back to your center. And here are just a few brain foods that can help you create that healthy brain. We know that we need to have healthy fats, our 5 in 1, or when we're having our lean and greens, depending upon the amount of protein, lean protein we're having, will determine how much of a healthy fat we should be having. But healthy fats, some herbs and spices, curry is huge in creating longevity and health. And so Indian food is really a healthy type of food to be eating because of all the curry in it. And certain supplements can also help and create the good brain food. So exercise your brain, reduce your stress, and then feed it with enough of the right nutrients. And you start to live a longer, healthier life. And here's the thing. I love this quote, but I can't move mine. You can't pour from an empty cup, so you need to take care of yourself first. You need to take care of you first. If you don't take care of yourself first, and you put everybody else and everything else in front, then you are not going to be as good for others as you could be. And you can become a little grumpy. You can become a little resentful, but you need to take care of you first. And I love this Dr. Seuss quote. I like nonsense. It wakes up the brain cells. So thank you. I love nonsense. We need more nonsense in our lives. We really do. So I'm going to stop my share. So we have a few minutes. Does anyone have were there any thoughts, any questions, anything that you do to take care of you and create that health for your brain, for living a longer life? Any thoughts? Questions?
One time, I think Dr. Anderson mentions it, that, you should take a different route to work. So I tried that one morning. I thought, okay, I'm going to take a different route to work. I got stuck by 2 trains and I was late for work. So anyhow, I did try that, and that is something that you're supposed to do. So I need to do that. This is a good reminder that I need to try that again and maybe leave earlier.
Thanks, good.
That's great. Yeah, going a different way, a different route, trying something different like that. That's great, because it starts getting you to think. Hey, maybe even writing. Well, I'm not sure about writing out directions versus using a GPS would be helpful, because then you have to keep looking at the paper. But maybe reading a map before you go. We don't know, and we don't read maps really anymore. Would be something to just kind of get the brain going again using that. What else? Kate, do you have yourself unmuted?
I thinking about doing things differently. I find, even when I'm putting my shoes on in the morning, I'll go to put one on, but it's like, no, I don't put that one on first. I do the other one first. So I have to switch them. So it's something I'm going to think about now and try to purposefully put the other one on, because it becomes less rote and more thinking about every activity that I'm doing. And I think that is a good thing, to not, just not get into such a routine. You find it with driving. I can get in the car and drive and not remember the drive, because I know it's going from here to my dad's house, and like, oh, did I pass that exit? I don't even remember that. So taking a different route would be something that I should try doing once in a while.
That's great. That is awesome. What else?
I thought I'd throw something in there if that's okay. On the beginning part where you talked about blue zones and the study, I think that was called the China study. And one of the locations they studied was Loma Linda, California. And I don't know if many of you know this, but the reason they studied this is because it's a higher concentration of Seventh-day Adventists in that area, which I happen to be. So I know quite a bit about that and why the lifestyle is tends to be a little healthier. One of them is we tend to be plant-based. A lot of times it's not a mandatory thing by any means, but it's something our denomination of Christianity definitely promotes living healthy, and that's one of the ways we do it. So I've been vegetarian my whole life. So if anyone is interested in moving that direction, I'd be happy to chat. But I just thought I'd throw that out there that I've always thought it was cool.
It's interesting. That's great. Thank you, Heidi. I think Margie, did you unmute? You didn't unmute? You did, but you didn't. You didn't mean to unmute. Okay. Anyone?
I have something to share. This is Amy, and hi, everyone. I have always wished I were a New York Times crossword puzzle person, and I've always been intimidated by people who do that. And I mean, wow, those things are just like, really, really, really challenging. So about a year ago when I started this program, and also it was, in the midst of COVID, I found a series of easy New York Times crossword puzzles, and I've been doing one every day for the last year.
Wow, that's awesome. That's great. That's great.
Yeah, it feels like you were saying in your talk, Mitzi, about just engaging the brain. That's just one little thing I do every day to make sure that happens.
Where'd you find the easy ones?
Well, the first one I found was in an actual bookstore. I mean, go figure, but they're also available on Amazon.
Wow.
It's a book of 50 puzzles, and they have different, editions. So I actually bought 3 at once. And in addition to the first one that I bought in the bookstore. And it's a spiral bound thing, so just really easy to kind of bring paper bring a pen to paper.
That's
pretty
great.
cool.
Thank you for sharing that. Well, it's that time. It's 8:30. So I just put the it's a health and hope night on the national call. So if you choose to go over there, I put the Zoom link there in the chat for you. Suzanne, thank you so much for your testimony. You are so awesome. And those of you who are coaches, you're going to stay on because we have coach training. And those of you clients, go over to the Health and Hope Night and hear what's going on. And thank you everybody for being here. I look forward to seeing everyone next week, and have a wonderful, wonderful week. Take care. And if you're in the East, I think the heat wave is going to go away. And if you're in Texas, it never does. So enjoy, enjoy your week. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
At least everything here is air conditioned.
There you go.